Now this is the Ancient Texan. Let's talk a little bit about the good and the bad parts of the Republican tax plan. First, the good. Lowering the corporate tax rate, good idea. It's kind of insane to double tax first profits coming from a corporation and then tax it again when the individual gets it. And since most of the people that get profits from a corporation make a lot of money, usually that tax rate is higher than the corporate tax rate, and it certainly will be now. And that will in some way probably encourage people to incorporate and invest in the United States. That's the good part of the plan. Now there's two problems though with the plan. The first is it increases the deficit. The deficit and the interest on the deficit has got to be a big drain on the U.S. economy. It's something that we haven't dealt with now since Clinton has been in office. I think it's important. A lot of economists do. Increasing the deficit with the idea that we're going to somehow make enough growth in the economy that the deficit's going to shrink because the economy's larger and smaller tax rate on a bigger economy will bring in the same amount of tax. Well, that's a little bit of wishful thinking, and we'll get into that in part 2. So, first good, lower the corporate tax rate, probably moving in the right direction. Not dealing with the deficit, that's the easy way out. Second thing that's wrong with the tax plan is it doesn't really address why we're not seeing a growth in jobs and wages, especially wages. If you lower the tax rate, what are the companies going to do with the money? Corporations are already sitting on trillions of dollars and not investing them. Why are they not investing them? It's pretty simple. They don't need the capacity. Take Apple, got $500 billion cash sitting on it. Why don't they make more factories, more jobs? Because they don't have more customers. There's not enough people with money in their pocket to buy a $1,000 phone. Giving them more profits is not going to change that. It's going to stay essentially the same as it is right now. Their demand is the same. And what's the fundamental problem there? It's wealth inequality. The wealth inequality in the U.S. is hurting business. With money all at the top, the consumers at the bottom don't have money. In other words, workers aren't paid enough, and there's not enough jobs. Giving the corporations more profits, they're just going to suddenly start giving more money to the workers? I don't think so. How are the workers going to get more buying power? Truth is, they're not. Automation, AI is going to start eliminating jobs at an incredible rate. Drivers alone millions of jobs are going to be lost as self-driving cars come around. It's one of the leading occupations in the United States. And AI is also going to push up the food chain. So jobs are not going to increase. Wages are not going to increase. I don't think we're ready to deal with that reality. There's a couple of things that can be done eventually. Increasing the minimum wage. Maybe the Republicans would go that far, but basic income addresses the issue. and also a tax rate that is focused on companies that have low revenue per worker. In other words, like a manufacturing facility will essentially have, $1 to $200,000 of revenues per worker, where somebody like Apple, Google will have millions of dollars per worker. Make the tax rate more favorable to the companies that actually generate more jobs. But first and foremost, you have to recognize that the reason corporations are not expanding is because there's not enough customers with enough money in their pocket to buy the goods and services that all the corporations are making. Those customers, another word for them, are workers. Workers are not getting paid enough, and there's not enough jobs for the workers that let them buy more. And this actually won't be corrected by capitalism. Each corporation is doing what's best for them. They're optimizing their profits. And one of the ways to do that is reduce the number of workers by automating. That's what we do in America. And we outsource sometimes, but that's pretty much run its course. The future, 9 out of 10 jobs are going to be lost by automation. So what each individual corporation does is good for them, not so good for the country. It's going to take a change in policy. Expecting capitalism to fix this is not going to happen. So the Republicans probably got it right, lower the corporate tax rate. They didn't get it right by ignoring the deficit. And probably the way to fix that is higher tax rates, which that's not going to happen. Or lower the military, and that's not going to happen. Lower the military spending. And expecting more profits to produce more jobs, that ain't going to happen. Anyway, I like the idea that Republicans are also trying to simplify it. We'll see if they can do that after all the lobbyists get in and start affecting it. At least I admire the Republicans for taking a shot at it, which can't say I've seen any Democratic plans for changing our awful tax system. This is the Ancient Texan on the good and bad of the Republican tax plan. Have a good day.